Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? How are you doing? We are super excited today because I have Miss Georgia here right next to me.
Hello there. How you doing, Kezia?
I'm doing wonderful. Miss Georgia, can you introduce yourself? We're here with the Don't Be Angry, Be Active podcast. And we had a good time today. Well, yesterday.
Yesterday, yes, we had a wonderful time. And just a little bit about who I am. I'm Georgia Allen. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I have been actively involved in the community as well as in the civil rights community for close to 30 years. I've
Wow.
worked with both our youth as well as our adults in the civil rights arena. Former president of Virginia Beach NAACP, but what I enjoyed the most was when I was a youth advisor to the young people in the NAACP.
Now, Miss Georgia, 30 years ago, you only 25, sis.
Yeah, something about like that. What can we say?
Now, it's so funny because we are here in Atlanta, Georgia, and your name is Miss Georgia.
Yeah.
How does that feel to be, you know, in the city that you're named after of?
Well, what's interesting about being in the city, and that's your name. When you're there, what happens is as you're introducing yourself to everybody, nobody forgets your name. You can get introduced to 50
Listen,
people and you
right.
forget their names, but everybody can come up to you and say, "Well, hi, Georgia."
Look, let me tell y'all something. Okay, I have had a magnificent time hanging out with Miss Georgia and ATL. Because let me tell you, that Southern flair that she has, I'm talking about, she said hello to everybody, y'all. She was like, hello, hello, how are you? How are you? Goodbye. I'm like, yo, did I forget my manners? Because she made me feel like, oh, like, sis, you don't speak to nobody. See, Virginia, I used to be like that, Miss Georgia.
Yeah, a girl from Texas. I'm sure you guys have Southern hospitality
We
in Texas, right?
do, but I've been in Virginia for how long? I've been in Virginia since 2008. They sucked it right on out of me.
How could Virginians suck the Southernness out of you when we're all Southern together?
Virginia is not. Virginia is what South. What y'all call it? Eastern South, Southeast.
Southeast, yeah. And the
Exactly.
entire Water Hampton Roads area. And I think a lot has to do with the fact that we are such a military hub.
Yeah, everybody
So we
coming from
have
everywhere.
every single
Mm-hmm.
solitary branch of the military located in the
Yep.
Hampton Roads area. So
Yep.
therefore, the people who are there, everybody keep thinking that they're all Virginians, but they're not.
They not.
Every state in the country.
Now,
So we got all of these
all
different
type of people.
personalities.
Yeah, mix up.
Whatever state they're from, they bring their personality with them. So I think that's what gets people confused sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure. And to people that are from here, I don't know because sometimes y'all a little closed off.
Well, I guess that's because over time we were open.
Mm-hmm.
And we found that a lot of people, when we spoke to them, they sort of ignored us. And so after that happened a number of times, a lot of people decided that I'm not even going to bother with the hello.
Man.
Yes. Me, on the other hand, it is the way I was raised, it is the way that I continue to act, and I find that I get a better response than if I shut myself off. So I have a tendency not to do that.
Yeah, because people, sorry, my arm be tripping. People here, I don't know, like it's hard to get into certain circles.
It can be, and it also can be for those who actually are from the area. Because keep in mind, we are a very diverse community.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people that came to the Hampton Roads area decided to stay. And again, they are visitors
Right.
that have made Hampton Roads their home.
Right.
So because of that, they bring their own personality, they bring their own various different belief measures with them. And so when they bring those, they also take them into our government agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes creates situations that we weren't accustomed to because they weren't actually homegrown
Got it.
Virginians.
Yeah. See, and because on a political level, a lot of times, like when people run against people who aren't like from Virginia, they sometimes kind of make that statement like, you not from here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And they do, especially if they find that people are running, the homegrown people feel that they're running for the wrong reason. They're running because they may have various people, more or less, I'll call it sponsoring. That's instead of saying paid for.
You own by.
Right. They have a tendency maybe to be owned by the people that are donating to their campaign. And when that takes place, the folks who are actually homegrown feel that they're being disenfranchised in their own
by strangers.
By strangers. So that creates a little bit of a conflict.
Yeah, put in the chat, put in the comment section your experience. Like if you're not from here, what has been your experience coming to the Hampton Roads area and having to, you know, be a guest, I guess, in this area, and put how long you been here, because I know I've been here since 2008. How long you been here, Miss Georgia?
I have been here since 1954.
But you only 20.
Only 20. What did I say?
Yeah.
You know, I've been blessed, you know, to be here. And of course, I have lived in many other places, but I originally came to the Hampton Roads area in 1954.
Wow. So let's get to it. So today's topic, y'all, today we're going to talk about civil rights generation versus the Black Lives Matter generation. Now, I'm not a representative of Black Lives Matter, but it's my generation because, you know, I graduated in 2000. You know, I'm an 80s baby. You know what I'm saying? Literally 82. And
That account.
Yep. And you know, it's just been working as an activist. Like we did this training. So we did this training here in Atlanta with Teslin Figaro. Y'all shout out to Teslin Figaro. I think I kind of found out about it through, I saw like the interview with the Breakfast Club and Killer Mike and Puff Daddy. They were promoting this training called Push the Line. And for me, what was interesting to it for me was how to organize people. Because I feel like I naturally, Miss Georgia, have the ability to organize.
Yes. And I think she's absolutely right.
Yeah. So, and so with you, Miss Georgia, being a part of the civil rights era, and me being in this new, you know, activism, you know, from this like social media aspect of it, because y'all didn't have social media back in the day.
We had no social media. We had our feet. We rolled up our sleeves and we went to work.
You know what I couldn't stand? I did not like, I'm not talking about then, I'm talking about now, people who like did protests. Like I used to be like, oh, what y'all protesting, still not changing nothing?
Right. And I can understand that, you know, even in my generation. Okay. Dr. King, of course, was quite a bit older than me. He was an adult. I think I was 10 years old when he died.
Wow.
No, I was a little bit older. I was 10 when Medgar Evers died. He died actually, I think on my birthday, to be honest with you.
Wow.
A minute ago. But so I'm a child watching these people out there protesting and everything. And I was more fearful. So I didn't see the need or the involvement because I lived in a very rural area, but I didn't have a lot of people running through my street, running down my street because I lived a road. Because at the time, I don't even think it had been paved yet. So I didn't have a lot of people running down my road and screaming and yelling or waving their big flags or shooting guns. And we didn't hear a lot of folks burning crosses in the yard. We only heard about that from a distance. So it was a little more difficult to connect to the civil rights movement. It was when I started listening to Malcolm X and his messages that had an impression on me. Dr. King, of course, had an impression because um, the institution preferred to give us the calmer messages more often. So we tended to hear those messages a lot more than we heard the Malcolm X and others.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Then I mean, what people was like? What would you say, like, for your generation? How could somebody like hear the messaging of like Malcolm X versus Martin Luther King? That's interesting.
Right. Because, of course, Malcolm focused more on if someone hit you, hit them back.
Okay.
Whereas Martin focused on if someone hit you, remain calm and continue the process of fighting against others in a nonviolent way.
So, what do you think this generation? You think this generation is more Malcolm X or Martin Luther King?
I would say this generation is, I can't say that they're really either. I think they've carved out their own place in society. And the biggest issue that I see is the tenacity. Both Malcolm and Martin were tenacious. That means they're going to take it all the way to the door. I don't know that this generation feel that they're going to be able to, or that they're not going to get tired. Our generation, once we got involved, for the most part, we stayed involved.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a microwave moment.
Yeah. It didn't just, we didn't like turn it on and turn it off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is the thing that I see more than anything else, is making sure that the Black Lives Matter generation understands that this is definitely America.
But you know why that is, don't you?
And tell me why that is, since you're from that generation, because I want to hear from you.
Let me tell you what it is.
Come on.
Y'all had more balance. Okay. Like now, there's more single parent homes. Then there was like more mothers and fathers in the home. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely.
Right. So like
two-parent households.
Two-parent households. So actually more than just two-parent households.
Yes.
Y'all also had like
aunts,
uncles, and then like people living in
neighbors.
Right. So now everybody's so split up. Right. Everybody is dissected. So we get tired faster because we don't have the support.
Right. And that's very true.
A lot of activists get burnt out so fast because they don't even have the core support of like family to take care of their kids. Like I think you were telling me about your granddaughter. Like your granddaughter, a lot of her friends have kids.
Absolutely.
Versus like for you, a lot of your friends, you know, y'all had kids at different stages of your life. But like, you know, we all need a babysitter if we're going out there marching.
Absolutely. Your generation, almost everybody needs a babysitter. And there's not that hierarchy that existed when we were younger. When we were younger, not in my case in particular, simply because we had relocated here to Virginia. So my cousins and my aunts and uncles, they were all in North Carolina. But for the people who lived here, the people that I knew and grew up with, you know, they had big mamas in their houses. You know, I didn't have a big mama. My mama was the big mama.
Right.
Okay. She was a big mama to the community.
Yeah. She was now did your mom, did she do the whole civil rights thing?
She did not participate in the civil rights. And I think partly because it didn't really hit this part of Virginia.
We were still comfortable in our.
Yeah, it didn't really hit this part of Virginia. The civil rights movement, for the most part,
was in Atlanta. Here in Alabama.
It was in Alabama. It was in Georgia. It was up in Chicago, in major inner cities where there were huge populations of Black people. Whereas in a place like Virginia, and especially at the time we were Princess Anne County, we were a population of a very small group of Black people. We weren't a population of a huge, large population of.
So why all y'all out there be talking about, why we not like Atlanta? Why we not? they was the one that was doing the free us now movement.
Right.
Like the energy is not the same energy. We don't have the same energy when it comes to oppression and opportunities in Virginia. Like it's the same in regards to the level of like oppression, but as far as the fight, the generations before us weren't impacted or pushed as hard.
Right. We weren't in the same situation. Um, we ultimately had persons like Judge Joe Jordan and others in the Norfolk area. I think we had someone in Portsmouth who stood up against
The
discrimination and
oppression,
everything
yeah.
and oppression. But those were steps that took place where they had a pretty sizable amount of Black people who could push back
Yeah.
against discrimination. In Virginia Beach, it was a little different
Yeah.
because we were peppered all over the city. Our
They love to
land
separate
mass,
us.
our land mass was huge, and think about it. We're a city of almost 500,000 now. Back then, we probably were a county or a city of maybe 10 to 17,000 in the same huge land mass.
Wow.
So that means that's a very small group of people.
Wow.
And that's the whole population. That is not just the Black population. That's the overall population
So
back in those days.
when I think about the cities that are popping, right? Like let's say like Miami, let's say North Charlotte, let's say parts of Alabama, parts of Georgia, like Atlanta, Georgia. All of those places probably had a larger amount of people participating in civil rights. That would make sense if they would be more advanced when it comes to Black people having,
opportunities.
Yeah, a lot more opportunities. Like everybody want to move to Atlanta and New York, and you know what I'm saying. So if we correlate,
that has kind of always been the case. Atlanta has been a place for people to migrate to. New York has pretty much always been a place.
But it's because that's where they were freed. I'm not gonna really necessarily say first, but obviously New York, we know they were free first. So if we look at slavery in comparison to look at slavery in New York, which we know the North, what that was, and then look at the civil rights movement and slavery, then we compare that to what's going on in Virginia, and then like now we see that where they were stronger in civil rights as well as pushing back, they are actually more there are more opportunities. That's where people are going to get opportunities. That's interesting. I guess you know what I think that means. That means we need to be pushing.
We need to be pushing harder, and it really doesn't matter whether it's Virginia or Oklahoma or Colorado. The cities are irrelevant. The actions that people take is what's relevant. If you even have a small population, we talked about this while we were at the event yesterday. If we look at cities like Ferguson, no one had ever heard of Ferguson until Michael Brown was shot and killed.
Right.
But then when we started peeling back the onion of Ferguson, we found out that Ferguson people were poorly mistreated. I mean, they were really badly mistreated. That they were giving Black people tickets for almost anything. If they walked or sneezed or whatever, it was almost like the Black codes was in effect. And if you remember the Black codes, if 3 Black people congregated on a corner, that became an issue, which ultimately led to the breaking of laws because they were on the books, they were written. And so Ferguson was a similar situation in that they were given out tickets for almost everything. And when they peeled back the onion, they found out that they were writing those tickets so they could get revenue for the city, but not to put it in the community of Ferguson,
right, of where it came from.
Americans live,
Yeah.
but to get that money and improve areas in the white areas of the city of Ferguson.
Word on the street that that's happening here. I can't say specifically, but I don't know which city it is or which city it was, but you know, they take like government funding for the poor people and then use it to
misuse it.
Misuse it to improve areas
within our local cities. And that can be when the federal government sends money down to the state, and then the state sends money down to the localities. The city council makes decision with regards to where that money is going to go.
Wow.
And if you don't have the right people serving in the position of power and writing the policies and writing the legislation or voting on issues in your benefit, and you're not at the city council meetings pushing the agenda, then the few who are supported by the most wealthy will, chances are, the money is going to stay with them.
So just to do a quick recap, the question is, what challenges do you think the civil rights generation have created for the Black Lives Matter generation or the new generation of community activists? And so based on what I hear, if we're talking about Hampton Roads, when we look at the civil rights movement in Hampton Roads,
is there one?
Was there one back in the? You tell me. I wasn't there. I wasn't here back in the day. I wasn't even in Virginia when I was a teenager. Was there a strong? I'm just gonna say this. One of the things that I loved about Tesla Figaro is that she's duplicating herself.
Right.
A lot of people try to be an activist and they just want to be that one activist.
Exactly.
And that's a problem because once you're done, then the movement dies too. Like, how do we keep the movement going? You know what I mean? In regards to having multiple people. But that's a whole nother show for a whole nother day, which I feel like we need to be hitting on this at another time, because I don't even think we even got to all of the points that we experienced this weekend. But I think that, having the conversation about what the civil rights movement looked like. Why is that important, y'all? That's important because the stronger a movement in community activism is, the more innovative and the more opportunities are presented for our people.
Absolutely. And you make some excellent points with regards to the civil rights movement and what impact it has had on the next generations, or how can what the civil rights activists, how can they benefit this newest generation? Well, one, I think we need to start talking with each other.
Oh yeah, relationships.
That's critical. I think that
because how many years apart are we? We're like,
you and I are 40 years apart. Almost. No, I'm sorry. You and I are 20 years apart. Me and my granddaughter are 40 years apart.
Yeah.
Yes, you and I are 20 years apart, a little over 20 years apart. Almost 30 years apart.
Almost, just a little bit. Yeah. But you're only 20 years old, Miss Georgia.
Yeah, almost 30 years apart. No. Yeah, 29. Yeah, Jesus. I didn't realize that. I don't think about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're 29 years apart. Wow.
Yeah. So communicating, right? Because we drove down here, y'all, 8 hours. Okay. And we had fantastic
conversation.
Minus the little.
A little hiccup.
Little hiccup.
We're not going to talk about it. I think that's going to get fixed. We just don't know how. But
for those of y'all want to know, DM me, okay? DM me, okay?
But yeah, I think a lot has to do with conversation. And you and I talked about this, that part of the reason why young people don't want to talk to people in my generation is because they feel like we don't want to listen to you. And
yeah, y'all be blocking and stuff.
Reason why we've had such a good relationship is I see your value and I see and hear you, and I can see things from a different perspective. And
But
you and I were able to make that connection.
Yeah, but the other thing is we don't even really spend time together because you and I, we ain't in the same circle. I mean, we are, but we not. Like the places I go, you don't go.
Are you
all
sure?
the time?
Are you sure?
I be at though.
Are you sure?
Oh wait, you be at Lido's, Miss Georgia. Miss Georgia, you be at Lido's.
Probably at upscale. Maybe.
I don't be at upscale.
So you don't do upscale. Okay.
I don't. You was at origami, Miss Georgia. You didn't go to origami. So that's what I'm saying. We don't, because our generation for real don't be going to church and stuff. So
right. And then
So where are we supposed to meet at?
Okay. What we do is we identify places that we can both go to. I mean, I like Waterside. Waterside have concerts and events and some of those things.
Yes.
Attend.
Right, but that's if we scheduled it. But I'm saying, like, had I not met you, right? Because at church, normally we're young people and more seasoned people. I don't like to say older, but y'all understand what y'all understand. Mm-hmm. We used to meet at church.
Absolutely.
We don't go to church no more. So where do we get a chance to spend time with our
shop?
Okay. And the beauty salon?
You know, I mean, you go into the barbershop anyway, you're going to the beauty salon anyway. There are all generations sitting in those chairs. And
that's true.
At any point in time, you can talk to different ones. And guess what? You're going to soon identify the seniors that are willing to have a genuine conversation with you versus the ones that turn their nose up because they are locked into who they are and into that generation and don't want to talk with our young people, maybe because they have a tattoo or too much piercing. They think they have too much piercing, or maybe because they sag their pants. But to me, that's the reason to have a conversation.
Yeah, well, we don't want to be lectured either.
You don't have to be lectured. You can just have a conversation and say, share with me why you prefer to sag your pants. And then,
but we don't want to be answering that.
Okay, and if you don't want to answer that, then ask them to ask you questions. You can always do that and say, hey, you know.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, y'all, because this episode is sponsored by Young Investors Group. You need to join us on October 1st, okay, at the 2022 InvestorCon. So we're going to go to a quick little break. Young Investors Group was created to empower and educate our young African American youth. Our goal is to empower youth by teaching them financial education, real estate investments, to teach them about entrepreneurship, to teach them about wealth management. What does an insurance policy do for their future? Our young investors invest in themselves, they invest in their community, they learn from the generations before them, and they teach the generations after them.
I am not a drug dealer.
I am not a thief. I am more than a comedian.
I am more than a musician.
I am more than a quarterback. I am not a thug.
Because of Young Investors Group, I am a philanthropist.
Because of Young Investors Group, I am a mentor.
Yeah!
Because of Young Investors Group, I am an entrepreneur.
Join us to learn why and how you can join our mission to build the next generation of community investors. All right, y'all, we are back. So we've had an amazing discussion in regards to the relationship between the civil rights generation and the Black Lives Matter generation. I myself, I am not part of Black Lives Matter, but I am of the generation that helped the movement in regards to what's important to Black people from a racial equality. And Miss Georgia here is from the generation of civil rights. And we are just discussing how that is related to Hampton Roads, the Hampton Roads area.
Absolutely.
So I think that it is important for us to spend time together. And I think that's what's going to happen on October 1st.
October 1st, yes.
Yep.
We're going to get together and we're going to talk with our young people a little bit about the importance of staying in touch with one another.
Yep.
We're not going to win separated. I love what Sister Soldier said. I means we. We means us.
Okay.
Us means they are you, you are me, and it gets right back to the I, which is we. And so that's what we have to understand. We can't do this by ourselves. We are all in this game together, and whether we like it or not, we're going to either rise together or we're going to fail together. So it's our choice. We have to choose that we're going to work collectively and collaboratively if we're going to survive the attacks that are on our community.
So, Ms. Georgia, obviously, it's hard for young people to try to tell the seasoned and more experienced people what to do. What advice would you give to a seasoned person on how to relate and connect with my generation or younger?
Well, first of all, I don't think either the seniors should be telling the young people what to do, nor should the young people tell the seniors what to do. What they should have are conversations. And then from those conversations, hopefully together they can say, you know what, let's be a little more innovative on this end. So say, for instance, you have a situation at your local city council and you see that they're going after barbershops or DJs or whomever.
Hence the city of Norfolk situation that's going on right now with that ordinance. But go on.
Absolutely. And so if there's an ordinance that is detrimental to your community, detrimental to your tribe, and keep in mind, your tribe is all of us. It's we, it's us, it's they, it's them, and so we have to understand that if they go after the DJs one day, guess what? Tomorrow they can go after the youth.
Yeah.
The next day they can go after the other types of business owners. The next day they can go after.
It's just illegal to be Black again.
Right. Exactly. It's all about the Black codes, and so they just do it differently. They shift, and they're constantly shifting. And excuse me. And so what we have to understand is, again, the same thing that Sister Soldier said years ago. It is very true today.
And that's the thing, because oftentimes, my question is, now that they coming after the DJs and order clubs, where was y'all at when we was fighting for other issues? Because that's really how it goes. When our nightclub owners, our DJs, and whoever else is impacted by this new stuff, when us activists out here are just fighting for other reasons, whether it be school board or y'all be chilling. Like, y'all don't be at the city council meetings. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now it's something that's impacting you. And no, I'm not going to walk away because you weren't necessarily there for us. But at the same time, y'all got to get engaged before it actually impacts you.
Absolutely.
Y'all can't wait until now they coming after y'all. Now y'all want everybody to come to y'all aid. Like, we got to stop as a people waiting until it impacts us. I say this all the time, especially for people that live in affluent, Black people that live in affluent areas.